Hi everyone, thank you for joining and continuing this journey with us. I'm truly grateful for all of you to for showing up and then learning your passion to learn. And thanks to Kunal for presenting the sessions. And today we are in the day three of the series. Today we'll be covering most part of the deal management. So deal management takes up 37% of the exam, so it is very important. Also, this session is going to be a bit longer given that there's a lot of content to cover. So, can you go to the next slide, Kunal? The next one. So, as you see, deal management takes up 37% and what it covers. So, it covers about the prospect qualification and then how the prospect goes through the different stages of the sales process, and then uh, how to determine the customers' strategies, goals, initiatives, and challenges. So, identifying them and defining the scope of the solution and providing the value proposition of the solution based on the discussions with the customers. So the value proposition that we provide and also any challenges that we face along the way, how do we identify and remove them, so we can go towards finalizing the deal and then getting a final commitment or signing up a formal contract with the customer. So these are all the stages of the sales process. And if you haven't attended the previous series, the pre-sales and sales mastery series, we have 7 sessions where we covered each stage of the process in detail: the negotiation, the value proposition, the final commitment or the contract, right from the lead identification, the generation, to all the steps we have covered in detail. So, in this session, we are going to mainly focus on the certification topics. So, how it's going to be uh, presented on the certification, which type of questions, what topics are most important for the certification. We are going to focus mainly on that. So, in the deal management, the first one is the sales pipeline. So, if you have attended those sessions, you would definitely know what a sales pipeline is. I'll just go through that just for the certification sake, that you can go through this in this session and then be prepared for the certification. Next slide, Kunal. So the purpose of the sales pipeline, so it is recommended to create a sales pipeline, whatever the process that you are following. So the sales pipeline will help in analyzing. So it is basically a summary of all the available or the upcoming sales opportunities that you're pursuing or your managers are pursuing. So it can help us evaluate how the process is flowing, and is there any way that we can uh, improve the process and any roadblocks that we hit in the sales process. And we can also identify the projected cash flow. So if you look at the individual benefits, so it helps in identifying the anticipated revenue and cash flow. So in the sales pipeline, we keep a track of all the ongoing or the upcoming opportunities. So we keep a track, and then the number of leads that we have approached, we have contacted, and the number of leads who have shown interest, and their anticipated revenue. So it will help us in analyzing the cash flow and looking at the sales pipeline and looking at the timeline each process is taking, each deal is taking, and getting a analysis of how much time each deal is taking. That will help us in evaluating the number of let's say for this year we want to forecast how many deals may be finalized. So this analysis will help us in identifying the sales cycle length, and also where are the leads slipping through. If the lead is when we lose the contract, or when the opportunity is lost, we can analyze where the leads are slipping through, and which stage is it, during the lead generation stage or during the negotiation stage. That will help us in analyzing where the process needs to be improved, and if it is if it is a result of the sales reps, we can provide more training or the skills enhancements to the sales reps. And the resource gaps and over allocation, where we have more resources, and where the resources can be allocated to a different stage of the process. So we can identify all these blocks, and we can avoid those when looking at the sales pipeline. On the next slide, the different stages of the sales pipeline. You would definitely know that it starts with the prospecting. So identifying the leads, the prospects. So we do the ads, or we get the leads from the promotional activities or some third party sources. So we get all those leads, and then we can provide some advertisements, or we can contact them through different campaigns. And also, if you're working with some tools, some tools will provide a way to identify the potential buyers by looking at the existing profiles. Let's say we know a few profiles who are good customers, so we can find lookalikes of the same customers and find the potential buyers, and can target the campaigns to them as well. So the prospecting stage is all about identifying the leads and about reaching out to them, and also identifying which is the better channel or the source to target the customers. And once we approach the customers, once we establish the connection, and we identify a few attributes about them, and we can qualify them whether they are a good lead, they are likely to convert, or what kind of channels are the best ways to reach out to them for the further communication. And once we have established that contact, and then the customer is ready to know about us, and is interested, then we can provide them more information by doing a demo or a meeting. We can showcase all the offerings and the solutions, and then it provides them a chance to identify whether the solution meets the needs. And proposal is where we provide a summary of what how we can help the customer meet their needs. And also it also helps in providing unique selling points. So how we are different from the competitors, and also the proposal, would it be beneficial to them, and will it deliver value to them? All these insights we will provide during the proposal stage. And the negotiation is where we get to know the budget needs of the customer, and also depending on the budget needs, if the client customer has low budget, then we can decide on cutting down the scope and then offering the solutions based on the within the budget that they have, or providing any adjustments which works for both the parties. So negotiation is is the stage where there's a lot of discussions that happens, and then back and forth that happens, and final commitment can be reached upon mutual agreements. And when everything goes fine and everything looks good to both the parties, then the deal can be closed as the opportunity one. And the process doesn't end there. So even after the commitment or closing the deal, it is very important that the customer is always engaged, and they are provided exceptional service, and that serves as a chance to cross sell or upsell any other products, and also suggest them for the renewals. So the customer who is more interested or more impressed is more likely to go through the cross sell or the upsell process, or they're more interested to renew the product as well. So it's important that after the project has been won, so the customer is always in touch, kept in touch, and then any requirements that they have are met. And the next slide. So there are many templates that are available for the sales pipeline. Even if you want a small, easy one, we can spin up, find something on the Excel, and then get started with that. And when you are using the CRM, you will have full capabilities to store all the data, and also create some reports and dashboards to visualize, to identify the bottlenecks, or the areas where the sales reps can be trained, or how the cash flow or the expected income and or everything can be visualized using the reports and the dashboards. And whatever template that you are using, it is very important that you track all the different stages of the pipeline. The previous slide that we have discussed, the from the lead generation to the lead identification and generation to through the opportunity one and further commitment, further engagement. So keeping a track of all those stages and also making sure that these important metrics are also included on the template. So the important metrics would be the lead source, how the lead is captured. So how are they coming in to our system? So were they bought or were they gained through the ads or through the promotional activities, and they're coming as a import. So how we are identifying the leads, so that will help us in identifying which source is serving better, which source has a most higher rate of conversion. So that will help us to focus on that specific source. And also industry, which industry is more interested. So let's say I am providing a service which is more focused for the schools. So my prospective customer would be the schools. So that data will help me in focusing my further efforts in reaching out to the schools and some educational institutions. So keeping a track of the industries also help us to identify the audience and also to target them. And decision makers. So when we are talking to the customers, who all need to be included, and when we are talking to the engineer versus the consultant versus the CEO, we need to follow different strategies. So what type of information we need to provide to the CEO versus what type of information or the communication that we need to follow when we are talking to an engineer. To an engineer, we provide more technical details. To the CEO, it would be more of budget and business needs and how the product or the solution meets the needs. So the different strategies needs to be followed for different decision makers. And the deal size. So some deals may be $5,000, or some deals may be bigger, like a 1 million or $2 million. So identify the deal size during the initial stages, and then pitch depending on the buyer's budget. So if they have more budget, then you have more chance to add in more features into the product or the solution and provide them the pitch. If you know that the client has a low budget, then you can cut down all the additional features which may not be required and just showcase them the baseline product. The deal size will help us in identifying what the pitch that we can provide. And probability to close. So when we are talking to the clients, to the customers, during the initial stages itself, we'll get to know based on the conversations, we'll get to know their budget requirements, or the need for them to get the solution, or they're just trying to find out information, or they really need the product or the solution. So depending on all these criteria, then we can find out how interested or how likely the deal is can be won or lost. So all this information will help in identifying the sales pipeline, how many leads can convert or how many leads can slip. So while we are using the template, it's also important to follow these metrics. This is all about the sales pipeline. Kunal, I will let you take it over.
Sure. Thanks, JB. I think now the next step that we move towards is with respect to strategic prospecting that is there. Now, in terms of strategic prospecting, what is it? Why is it important? So, this is with respect to in terms of your prospecting steps, where when you are talking to the prospect the first time, or when you're talking to a probable customer the first time, I mean, you need to do it right and in a certain manner so that I mean, you create that right impression and you are able to close that deal that is there. Now, therefore, the strategic prospecting becomes an important step, and the advantages of that is where you build that trust and become a trusted advisor for the prospect. You basically can consult them, guide them with respect to in terms of which product is the right fitment. Sometimes it is maybe where, say, they may look at a CRM plus marketing plus an analytics solution, but just to save cost, you might be able to consult them saying that go for CRM and marketing first, and then phase two, do an analytics that is there. So you become a trusted advisor with respect to that strategic prospecting. If you are able to do with that, you can focus on big accounts. So you will have, as a salesperson, you have multiple accounts that are there. Some may be, I mean, really small companies, some may be medium, some may be large. So in terms of, with respect to, if you do a prospecting in a certain way, in a structured manner, you get that chance and you get that time to focus on the big accounts that are there, give more effort there, put in the right effort there. uh, Obviously, in terms of, you get better closures with respect to prospecting that is there. Now if you receive better closures in terms of sign-offs or closures, you don't need to give much discounting to your customers or prospects that are there. It's where then, say, maybe one or two of the opportunities that are there is something you can leave off, considering that you've met your target with respect to overall. So therefore you can have a reduced discounting that is there, and then it overall finally helps you with respect to meeting your business goals. So in terms of where, whatever targets that you have, whatever overall goals that you set for yourself or the team, and overall that has been set to you by a manager, you are able to meet that up with respect to the following a strategic prospecting that is there. uh, Coming to prospecting, so what is it? I mean, if you try to understand prospecting, prospecting is like, so there are typically four steps in a sales cycle that is there, right? I mean, in terms of where you have getting the attention of the prospect. So where, say, the prospect gets hooked to your product or hooked to your service, and tries to evaluate that or find more details about that and research about that. Second is generating interest. Now that can be with respect to obviously various techniques in terms of which we'll see further, but in terms of showing value or with respect to a discount coupon or a loyalty coupon or something of that sort. Then the desire to purchase, where they put it in the cart and then they complete the transaction with respect to entering the payment details and do the action that is there. Now, as a part of prospecting, the first two stages are very important. So if you're able to get the attention of the prospect or the to be customer, and if we are able to generate interest, I mean, desire and action more or less follows. But so basically, it's most likely that they'll go ahead and do the purchase that is there. Now, for prospecting, it's where you get the desired customer or to be customer to pass those first stages that are there in terms of the attention and the interest. Uh, how do you do that? You basically connect with the right people or the decision makers. So where you connect with the right team members. We've seen this where to identify the decision makers is a very important step. So then you need to connect with them so that they can go ahead, give you the purchase that is there or give you the deal that is there. Prospecting is also about job satisfaction, where it gives you also, in terms of following the right processes, right sales cycle, right sales steps, gives you the job satisfaction in terms of when you achieve a deal that is there and when you achieve the revenue pertaining to the deal that is there. It is more about where, as said, getting the interest done, getting the interest level generated, instead of just doing random calls or say doing hundreds of calls and hundreds of emails and then finally achieving a really small number. Instead of that, if you follow prospecting, do prospecting, it's where it may be where you may reach a small number, but you may have a larger ticket size with that small number of accounts that is there and with lesser minimal optimal efforts that are there. So before, I mean, we moved to, so this was prospecting. Now we move to what a sales process. Typically, this is with respect to what we saw in the first slide as well. So the overall steps that a sales representative or anyone who's selling needs to do with respect to, right from your research to your prospecting to your lead generation to the sales closure that is there or the final closure that is there, and even with respect to beyond. Now, the number of steps may vary, but a typical steps or the typical it involves, there are four stages. One is with respect to where you research on your prospect, research on the industry, research who are the big players, research who are the medium term players, small players, what is happening in the industry, what is trending, so that you can have that right conversations when you're talking to the prospect that is there, and you can do that right conversation that is there. So therefore, research becomes a very important step in terms of where you go prepared. You are prepared with respect to maybe the financial results, maybe the attrition that they've had, maybe the new innovation that a prospect has done. So all of that comes into research, and it helps you in terms of deciding as well whether to target that particular prospect, whether they have the budget, whether they will go ahead make the purchase, or it's still, I mean, not the right time to approach them, so on and so forth. Then it's the lead generation. So your lead generation process with respect to where you generate leads, target them, nurture them, reach out to them, set up meetings with them, set up demos with them, do your POCs, do your POVs, which you've seen in the previous sessions, and post which do the overall sales call and the closure. And then once all of this is done, you go beyond it where you do the relationship building. This is to do with respect to where if you can increase the ticket size in the future renewals, or say in future, or you can get more products sold or more solutions sold, that's where relationship building definitely comes into the picture and becomes an important step as a part of the overall sales process that is there. What are the common mistakes to go or avoid? These are some of the mistakes that are there that you typically avoid. Uh, I mean, you typically don't go unprepared for a meeting. I mean, because once if the prospect finds out the that you are unprepared, it loses interest. Don't skip the discovery call. So normally, what happens is you have your BDR teams or you have your call reps who are calling the particular customer, trying to get the requirements, so on and so forth. But it's ideal where you are also part of the discovery call. You listen from the prospect or the to be customer saying that what is it that they're looking at, what is the problem statement that is there, so that when you are talking or you are meeting them, you are able to build a story. You are able to convince them. They know that okay, you've heard the previous call. They don't need to repeat any of the things, so on and so forth. So it's very important that you do the overall attend the discovery call that is there. Then once it comes to in terms of the third step, typical ideal step, don't jump to the pitch directly. I mean, so first understand what they're looking at, do the right discovery, qualify the lead, and then make your pitch that is there towards the product and make your pitch towards the solution. Don't just jump to the pitch stage that is there, because otherwise it can lead to disaster of not understanding the requirements, and lead to a scenario where the you know to be customer may be disinterested or not interested. Don't highlight product features. This is to do with respect to, so don't, you need to, I mean, you need to have a balance of features as well, but it's where don't just highlight product features or say boast about product features. Talk about the value that you will provide. Talk about the larger picture in terms of a value that you can provide overall with the business. You need to be empathetic. You cannot, don't be unempathetic. So be empathetic. If there are changes to the call happening or if the timing is being changed, I mean, although you may be frustrated or there are certain things that are going on, but still be empathetic towards that call change that is there. Don't be I mean, frustrated, or don't show your anger that is there. Be empathetic and try to understand the customer. Don't talk too much. I mean, so keep your talking balanced. Talk as much as required. Don't be that over talking person in the room, because it creates a wrong impression that is there. Be prepared for objections. So obviously there are going to be objections, because overall when it comes to licensing, when it comes to purchasing, licensing, the contracting, you'll have multiple stakeholders, not only your marketing teams or not only your CRM teams. You will have your finance team, you'll have your other IT team, so on and so forth. And change management, I mean, which is a broader topic, I mean, from the sales side as well, but from the project management side as well, a very important topic. So change management is very important for an organization as well, where they are not ready for the change. They don't have not thought through the change, so on and so forth. So therefore, there are multiple people who are going to raise objections that are there when you are trying to sell a new product. So be prepared for that objections that are there. Try to address them. Try to get a resolution towards them. Don't make your sales call too longer. So keep it shorter, keep it crisp, and even with respect to follow-ups, keep on doing a regular follow-ups. Don't do like wait for the follow-ups to happen. Do like a regular check-in and try to get an answer of whatever may be the next steps that are there. What is the difference between a sales process and sales methodology? Now, this is typically with respect to where sales process is your what in terms of what is it that you're looking to solve, what is it that you're trying to achieve. So it's all your what in terms of all your questions with what is your sales process that is there. Sales methodology is with respect to how. So this is more to do with respect to how you are going to solve it. How is it that you thought about solving it? How much time it will take. So all your hows is with respect to your sales methodology that is there. There are various different methods in terms of selling as well. So the trail mix has details around that, but I mean, these are the typical four methods in terms of selling, where you have a challenger based selling, then you have a trigger based selling, then you have a value based selling where you're selling value more than the product, so on and so forth, and an entire 360-degree selling as well. So these are typically four methods that are there. I mean, just try to get a hang of, I mean, what each selling means and just differences, because there may be questions around in terms of, a scenario based question of this is the type of selling, and try to identify which type of selling does it fall under. Uh, then we move to customer centric discovery. Now, this is with respect to, yeah, where a very important step again, where you need to focus your design your discovery sessions or requirement gathering sessions in such a way where they are customer centric. So, and you need to prepare for that customer centric discovery model that is there, where uh, this is the step where you will identify the requirements, you'll identify the challenges the customer is facing, and typically it's where four steps. Now, one with respect to know your customer that is there. Now, this is to do with respect to where so four steps: know your customer, be your customer, connect with your customers, and then create with your customers that are there. So these are the typical four steps that are involved. In terms of know your customers, so this is to do with respect to where you do your research with respect to the prospect that is there. You see their balance sheet, you see their financial result, you see what is new, what is trending in the industry, what is it that they have they done any new financial investment that is there. So try to do researches that are there. Nowadays there are a lot of documentation available, so you do that overall research that is there. Once you do the research, understand about the industry as well. So don't be only company specific, but try to read about the industry as well, because this will give you conversation points when you actually meet them in terms of talking points and breaking your ice with respect to the to be customer that is there. Try to get the answers to these questions in terms of what are the biggest challenges that are there that the industry is facing, or what is the industry trends that are there, what are the competitors doing in terms of the market. Can you get some info around that, because that will be a really good insight for that particular prospect or customer that is there. How is it that trends or changes that are there will bring in terms of basically affect them in terms of any new changes, any new trends, how will it affect them? So see to it that you have answers to all of those. uh, what is it with respect to in terms of what is the industry talking? Is it talking in terms of that there is a lot of profit making, there's a lot of demand? Is it talking that it's like a recession? So try to understand that, so that you are able to do that right pitch and right talking that is there when you're meeting the customer that is there. uh, Next step is know the business that is there. Now, this is specifically around in terms of the prospect or the customer to be customer you're meeting. Try to understand their business. Try to get deep into the business study that is there, of what are the goals, what are the overall values that are there, that you will be able to provide, and what is it that you will be able to do, so on and so forth. So try to get the overall values that they have. What are the initiatives that they are working on? What are the strategies that they have thought about to achieve their goals? What are the obstacles according to them? So try to understand their business in detail that is there, because that will help to provide more solutions, more services, more products to them, and increase the ticket size that are there. Know the people who are there. So in terms of who are the decision makers, how is their hierarchy structure looking like? Do you need to break the ice with respect to the decision makers? Is the decision maker going to be one person, or is it like a team of decision makers that is there? What are the key priorities that are there? So is it where, say, there might be scenarios where you may have two different engagements going on, one from the marketing discussion, one from the sales discussion, and maybe one from a tech perspective in terms of IT discussing some other product that is there. So what is their key priority that they have currently, basis which you will be able to define a pitch and pitch them the correct way. What are the challenges that they face? So what is it that they are facing? Which level are they facing it? Is it from a top down approach, or from the main floor level they are facing challenges that are there? So try to understand those challenges and then provide the solutions that are there in terms of your end to end solution that is there. Be your customers. This is to do with respect to overall understand the experience that is there, or feel the experience that is there. If they have offline stores, visit the offline stores that is there. Try to get an overall experience level in terms of making an actual purchase that is there. Make a purchase via online as well. Try to call them with respect to the call center. Try to get that overall experience that is there. Some pieces may be missing in that. Instead of just trying to tell the customer, or being agnostic to the customer, or challenging to the customer, empathize with them. Try to tell them that we understand that there's a challenge, but we have a solution with you. So try to be empathetic that is there when you're talking. Try to take a walk into the customer's shoes. The customer may be facing multiple challenges that are there. It's not only, so say maybe sales may be fine, but tech may not be good, or finances maybe not be good because my orders are not coming. So try to understand that side of the things, and then they may not have the budgets to invest that is there, and therefore they're facing a challenge. So try to get an understanding, take a walk in terms of the customer shoes, and try to get that understanding that is there. There are many ways with respect to you can understand, or say get the customer, understand the customer business that is there. Try to identify what is the relationship with the customer and the consumer. How are they related, directly, indirectly? Is there a middleman? What is the relation with, or how is the relation with the supplier that is there? Is the payments happening on time? Is the supplier complaining of anything? So try to understand all of that, and also try to consult the customer with respect to, in terms of, if you find a gap or a flaw, so try to tell them or consult them of how they can improve that. So again, you can wear a consultative hat, not only from a platform perspective, or recommending a platform or a discovery, but this is more from a business perspective, where you consult them and guide them with respect to what they need to do. Connect with your customers. So connect with the people who are involved, connect with the stakeholders. Ask them the right questions, ask them the questions that you actually need info for, in terms of before presenting a solution or before submitting a proposal that is there. So ask them the right questions that are there. Ask open-ended questions. So if you ask close-ended questions, you might just get a reply in one word, or you might get a reply in like one sentence that is there. But whereas if you ask an open-ended question, you might listen to a story, you might listen to a larger part of the context and the conversation, and which will overall help you in terms of breaking down your requirements, or trying to know something which the prospect may miss out in terms of telling you with respect to overall on the meeting that is there. So ask open-ended questions that are there, so that a discussion can happen. Also, with respect to where connect it all with respect to, so once the meeting happens, try to join the dots. So make notes, try to connect it all on a whiteboard, summarize it on a whiteboard that is there. Run it through the to be customer, or run it through a prospect that is there, so that you are also not missing out on anything when you need to come back with a solution, or come back with that sales pitch that is there. So therefore, it's very important that you connect it all across with respect to, and either summarize and refresh this before the meeting is completed. Create with your customers. This is where you do the entire digital transformation with respect to the customer. Create a change. So review the challenges, present the solution, bring a change to the customer with respect to implementing the right solution. Walk with them when the implementation is happening. Create it where you basically try to create a storyboard or a story building, where you discuss with the customer, so that you can create value, and you can create that, provide that value to the particular customer that is there. And then co-create a plan. So combined way, create a plan uh, in terms of your customer that is there. This is to do with respect to where you try to identify the timelines, try who will be involved, which teams will be involved. So co-create that plan as well, so that you have a plan in front of you when you are implementing with the customer, so on and so forth. So create that entire say, walk with the customers or create with the customers. So it's basically You are also getting involved in terms of the solution that is there. That builds confidence with respect to the customer, saying that we have somebody apart from the execution team as well helping us out, and the person who's built the relationship for the sales is there with us with respect to the entire journey that is there. Now, we touch base on overall with respect to what are the challenges that happen with respect to and framing and scoping that is there. So, you need to understand what is challenge framing that is there. Now, challenge framing is also one of the methodologies through which you try to understand the customer challenge. So, it's where you build the challenge, you frame the challenge in a way, in a structured way where different teams can understand, you get information from different teams, because it's not only that marketing and sales, but you'll have challenges faced by a finance team, by a ops team, on ground team, so on and so forth. So it's where it's an important step of how do you frame the challenge, because basis which you will identify the requirements, understand the requirements, and then scope it out in terms of the scope of works, etc. Frame the challenges correctly. It's a very important step, and you need to frame it right, because if you don't frame it right, at the end, it may be discrepancy, there may be CR, change requests, so on and so forth. So, therefore, frame the challenges correctly. Differentiate the challenges and the requirements that are there. So, some may be challenges. So, say you need to understand what is the difference between the challenge and the requirement that is there. Challenge may be where, say, a customer is not able to send or not able to record, say, their end customers 360-degree profile that is there, or they are not able to retain them with respect to retention marketing that is there. Now, that's like a business challenge that is there. Requirements may be where you require a CRM to create that one view of the customer that is there, or you need to have a WhatsApp or an email marketing solution so that you can send communication to that particular customer or prospect that is there. So that becomes your requirement. So challenge is more from the business side. Requirement is more from your day to day with respect to what you require to solve that particular challenge that is there. Create a scope that is there. So create a scope document end to end of what is involved with respect to the challenge, uh, who is getting impacted, how much is the impact, and basis which you will be able to define a scope of work in terms of uh, you know what is the solution looking like, how much time it will take to implement the solution. So all of that comes in with respect to where you create a scope that is there. Then to understand the scoping or how to do challenge scoping, it's where you understand these five steps that are there. So basically understand the need in terms of what is the requirement, what is the need, what is the outcome that they're looking at. Articulate those into for designing, solutioning in terms of creating a solution that is there. So basically document those, articulate those, summarize those so that you are able to design a solution. Establish a problem solving approach. So don't only have a sales approach, but more of a problem solving approach where you want to solve the problem for the to be customer. Basis which create a plan in terms of when you will be able to close the sales, when will be the actual implementation start, when will the closure happen with respect to implementation, how will the check-ins happen. So create a plan around that. That creates much more visibility with means us as well, and with the provider as well as with the end customer that is there. Identify the KPIs that you want to measure. So, what are the results that you want to measure? What are the metrics that you want to measure? How does your dashboard look? So, identify all of that, brainstorm all of that, provide a consultative approach in terms of what KPIs they can measure as well. So, basically, that again boosts their confidence, builds confidence, and helps with respect to selling and the next steps that are there. Then, in terms of overall, with respect to uh, post challenge in terms of identifying KPIs, navigating trade-offs also. So you'll have to identify the overall trade-offs that are involved in terms of, say, as we discussed, say certain things might get pushed to phase two. Say you may have problem that is there, but it's a very minimal problem, not impacting as of now. So it's okay if you trade it off because to meet the delivery timeline, so on and so forth, as of now, and take it up in like a phase two that is there. So you navigate to what are the trade-offs that can come in, what are the objections that have come in, and basically, see to it that you basically have a solution for each one of the problem areas that are there. Uh, then this is one of the methodologies where it can help you with respect to in terms of say challenge framing as well as with respect to in terms of scoping. So it's like a HMW where how might we statement that you create. So basically, it breaks it down into three parts with respect to how might we say maybe record calls from 10,000 CRM agents uh, for end customers to have a streamlined experience in order to not do repeat calling and in order to get their problem solved over the phone in less than 2 minutes. I mean, say that might be a problem statement that is there. So you can create it in a form of an HMV, and then basically you can provide a solution with respect to that. So it helps in terms of overall scoping and framing, ideation work as well, iterations, the several iterations that you may have before you provide a solution. So it may help you with respect to all of those answers and help you with respect to giving the right solution that is there. Now, there are certain pitfalls that come in with respect to the HMV as well. So, again, when creating an HMV, don't try to include a solution. This is more of an understanding that is there. Don't try to use words like design, build, create. I mean, that typically confuses the particular to be customer or prospect that is there. Try to be as simplistic and simple as possible. Don't provide too much context as well. Just provide the right context that they require, and basically it will help you with respect to your sales cycle that is there. If you don't miss out on the desired outcomes or the business outcomes that are there, because that's one thing that anyone would like to look at. So failing to include desired outcomes definitely is creates a problem in terms of your HMV questions and trying to get the right results. Focusing on what you don't want. So try to be as open as possible. Try to be, say, helping them with respect to various scenarios instead of getting on a negative tone. So have a positive tone with respect to in terms of what is it that they're looking at, what is it that feels right for you at the current scenario that is there for them. So focusing on what instead of focusing on what they don't want or what they don't look at. So don't have that with respect, because this can definitely impact your overall question answering mechanism and then your results and then what solution you provide. Assemble the right team. So get the right team that is there. Build a typical diverse team that is there. When you refer to the trailhead, you'll find out that in that scenario, they explain that they get 7, 8 different cultures as well. Sometimes it becomes important that you may be working on a project, or you may have a requirement into some altogether different country as well. So it's better to understand the culture, is that in terms of overall different methodologies or different ways of how they react. So have a diverse team who is working on a solution that is there. Have a mix of members. So have a mixed team of seniors, juniors, instead of just having like one type of category or one category of team members that are there. Define what success criteria you will be running after. What is it that you want to achieve? Which metrics you want to capture? Define the KPIs that are there. Define the overall business success as well. So in terms of what is it that the business will achieve? Is it revenue? Is it net profit? Is it growth? Is it team member growing? So on. So achieve. Try to define the business success as well. Try to also define the what the customer will get. So customer success that is there in terms of when the customer achieve success, what is it that they will achieve, so on and so forth. So try to find that out as well. And the overall societal success is what impact you will create for the society that is there. So typically, I mean, these are some aspects that you need to track and achieve. Overall, to achieve this or to achieve the goal is typically use the SMART framework. The SMART framework stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound, and ethical use cases. So use the SMART framework to define your requirements that are there, and in terms of the framework that it can be used further as well. Then we come to pricing strategies and overall sales proposals that are there. So in terms of pricing strategies and sales proposals. So basically, before you jump to that, try to know the revenue model that is there. So get to know the revenue model of the particular uh, customer that is there. Understand different terminologies in terms of what is AOV, what is TCV, what is ACV, what is revenue. As a part of the exam, you get questions around AOV, TCV, ACV. They try to give, say, specific scenarios or specific questions around where they give certain math values, and then basically ask you to identify that is it an AOV, or is it a TCV, or is it your revenue that is there. So understand that terminology that is there. Understand the difference between, so there is a subscription model, whereas there is an on-premise model. So try to understand the differences of how subscription model works, how your on-premise model works. Subscription model, I mean, it can be anything where you maybe subscribe month on month, you get a subscription, you use it, and then basically renew it. That is there. An on-premise model is something that basically you use with respect to, in terms of, say, an on-premise installation or a solution that is there. So all of that in terms of, uh, you need to identify the differences that are there. In terms of all of it that you need to do in terms of understanding the differences. uh, Certain practices that you need to follow along with that, in terms of how is it, so in terms of to close or to achieve faster closure that is there. So how is it that is there, in terms of that you close early. So don't leave it for the last moment. Don't leave, say, if you have, typically Salesforce works on a quarterly model that is there. Don't leave your deals with respect to a last moment closure that is there. Close early. Try to close small deals as early as possible, and close often that is there. So that will help you to meet your targets. That will help you to achieve your goals that is there. So instead of just waiting and then closing last moment, it's where close early and then close often that is there. What are some tools that you need to have, or you need to understand before you go for your meetings that are there, your sales pitch that are there. It's where you understand the overall pricing model. So understand what is list pricing, understand what is the overall pricing model that is there, what are the discount matrices that you have in terms of overall. So what are the discount matrix that are there. So what is it that is there with respect to overall discountings that are available to you. What are the pricing systems? So how does the pricing work? uh, Understand all of that. Understand what is percentage based pricing. So if you have to divide it into different modules or different uh, say phases, can you give a percentage based pricing that is there? How is the approval matrix that is going to work? So who is going to be the approval matrix from both sides, from the to be customer side as well, but overall at your side, if you have to achieve discounts, get discounts, who is it that is going to be there, who is going to give you those approvals that is there? Research about the company. Will they be able to pay? Will they able be not able to pay? How is the financing structure looking like? So on and so forth. Ask the right questions that are there. So, ask that right questions that will enable you to get the right scope of work, based on which able to you'll be able to give the right pricing that is there. So understand all of that when you are working towards your pricing strategy and pricing that is there. Then coming to how do you want to give the pricing. So understand the different pricing strategies. So there are different 5 type of pricing that are there. Understand each one of them. There are questions around that as well. Again, scenario based, where you will be asked to identify which pricing strategy it is. So there is a cost plus pricing, where, say, you have a cost price and you add a certain say percentage to with respect to achieve your profits. Bundle pricing. So say, are you going to say sell multiple products and give a bundle pricing that is there, so that it works out better for the particular customer that is there? Or a value based pricing. So is it where, say, you will be able to solve their CRM problem, which no other player has been able to solve. So that's a particular value that you're trying to bring in. So that's the value based pricing that is there. Competitor pricing. uh, Competitor pricing, is with respect to in terms of overall where say you know what the other competitors are providing, what the other competitors are uh, deriving or giving, and basis which you give your pricing that is there. Price skimming, this is more to do with respect to, I mean, where you say extrapolate your pricing or say increase your pricing or change your pricing accordingly and devise a strategy that is there. But so here again, different pricing strategies which you will define and identify basis in terms of how your prospect is looking like, how the customer. So depending on the research that you do, you will be able to arrive with respect to which strategies to use. Determine your value metric that is there. So what metric that you want to capture? What is the value that you're providing to the customer? How will you measure that and show that with respect to when you meet the particular prospect or customer that is there? And then again, this will come in multiple times. I know we are repeating this, but identify the right customer decision maker as well. This is a very important part of the overall sales cycle as well, any sales process where you are talking to the right person, you are talking to the right decision maker who's going to help you close the deal that is there. So that also becomes very important in terms of identifying that right person and decision maker that is there. Then coming to writing a sales proposal that is there. Now, this is typically with respect to how do you frame your proposal or how do you write your proposal that is there. So, what is a sales proposal? Your sales proposal is that document that you will share with the particular prospect or particular to be customer, where you will highlight in terms of what the requirement is, what the solution is, what is it that you are providing, what is the license that you're selling, what is the cost for that, the payment terms, assumptions. All of that is something that you will include with respect to in terms of the overall proposal and the sales proposal that is there. Why is it important? The prospect feels valued that you did that research, you did that hard work, and then gave them a proposal that is there. They feel serious about in terms of that. Okay, we are also serious in terms of providing a solution that is there. Keeps everything in one place, so that becomes your go-to document with respect to anything with respect to your sales cycle or your sales that you achieve. Increases chances of closing the deal because the prospector feels valued. Means build that trust that is there, and definitely that gives them more chances of closing the deal. What it comprises of, so basically it's typically drives around details about the prospect. So some info around your company, some info around the prospect, what they are, what industry they cater to, what is it that they are doing, what is the requirement about, what is the list down the requirements, list down what is the scope, list down what is like out of scope, the pricing, show a tentative delivery timeline, have an assumption and dependency section as well. So that will typically comprise of the proposal, which basically they will sign and they will agree upon, saying that okay, this is what we are wanting to achieve and this is what we are going to achieve with respect to the particular implementations, integrations, or product implementations that are there. Then we come to objection handling. Now, this is with respect to in terms of, in fact, I can take a certain questions or I'll take it at the end. So, or I'll take some questions before I move to objection handling. So, any questions in terms of overall?
I'm looking at the questions, Kunal, just in case you're not able to see. Um, so, this is a question from Atul. I watched the session in which you mentioned that sales reps should collect relevant customer information in advance and practice role plays with colleagues for better customer engagement. Could these activities be effectively handled using Agentforce Sales Coach Agent? And what are your views on this?
Definitely, I mean, so you can use AI. I mean, you will be able to build it, but I think Atul, it's more to do with respect to where Agent for Sales Coach will be an enabler where it will help you with respect to say cutting down on a certain calls or cutting down on a certain back and forth with respect to your leads or prospects that are there. But so they will be more of an enabler, but overall still sales requires that in-person touch, that in-person meeting, that in-person call that is there. and where you as a human being or anyone as a human being is talking to that particular lead or customer that is there, because that builds in that personal touch, that relationship, and that confidence that is there. So it will be like a, I mean, I cannot give a proper split, but it would just be, I would term it as an enabler to help with respect to your sales process, and make sales process effective, but not that it will completely come into control and completely handle the overall process that is there.
Thanks, Kunal. I don't see any other questions. And Jishan, I sent you the DM. Please check that.
Sure. Coming to, I think, the next step in terms of objection handling. So this is to do with respect to where what is an objection. Now, as a part of the sales cycle, you will have objection handling as well. And as a sales rep, as a person who's selling, you will have to handle that objection that is there. So, what is an objection? An objection is like a statement or a question which indicates like a barrier in the overall buying process. Now, it can be where, as said, say, sometimes the team may not be ready for the change. Sometimes the finance team might know the entire overall structure of the organization and they may feel that marketing is not the spend that is there, that needs to be done, but it's better that we spend towards resourcing that is there. Or see, maybe IT may not have the bandwidth to do the project, so therefore they may have an objection saying that we need to pick up the project next year and not this year that is there. So those are things with respect to that can come in with respect to objections, but they are things that need to be handled that is there. Now, objections help you as well, because hearing to the objections, they give you that clear cut picture of what the customer is worried about or what is the customer focused towards. So it gives you ideas and helps you in terms of designing your pitch that is there. Sometimes the objections can be so aggressive where you come to know in the first stage itself that there is no point of pursuing this lead or no point of pursuing this customer, and you means you don't reject the particular customer that is there because you don't qualify it and don't move ahead and don't waste your time that is there. So it helps you to determine with respect to whether you need to move ahead or not. Then you also get to know with respect to whether what is the customer looking at, what is the customer actually looking to, or is it a genuine objection or is it just a to be made objection for the sake of it. So it also gives you that perspective and idea of and helps you in terms of handling the objection that is there. Type of objections, so it can be around product where they don't find the product valuable, so they might feel that, oh, I mean, this particular, we have a looked at a better solution that is there, or we have a easier option that is there. It can be around pricing where they might feel that, oh, this particular cost is too high or this particular cost is comparatively too high to say other player that is there, or say in terms of hiring that is there, or it can be with respect to business that is there. So as said, sometimes the finance team comes in and says that no, it's not the right time for the particular product because it's where let's invest into something else instead of a marketing or a CRM or a sales process that is there. Implementation, as said, sometimes it's maybe with respect to where IT may not have bandwidth or the technical team may not have bandwidth, and they don't want to do the implementation now. So it can be around implementation as well, or it can be around implementation timelines as well, where they have a product launch at say maybe 2 weeks down the line, but say the implementation might take 4 weeks that is there. So all of that also can be one type of objection. Hidden, I mean, any unfortunate reasons or any unknown reasons, but I mean they just come in as objections. Or just stalling, I mean just trying to stall the project, no reason as such, but it's just that they want to stall it and they want to delay things that are there. So these are the certain types with respect to objections that are there. Overall, how to handle objections that are there. Now, there is much details about it, but I'm just trying to cover it in a summary where uh, so it's more of a like a functional trainings and functional content that is there as a part of the trail mix, which you can just refer to and read it. But overall, how do you typically handle objections that are there? So basically you diffuse the objection. So basically you acknowledge it, address it, mean address the emotion behind it, and try to diffuse the objection that is there. So uh, in terms of diffuse, it may be where say you might say sometimes the objection may be, hey, you know what, the entire government policies are changing towards AI, and therefore let's wait for AI to come. So you may diffuse it saying that, hey, you know what, means AI is going to come in, but AI is going to come in maybe say 6 months down the line, and it's better that you still implement the product, because when it comes, we'll see at that stage, and the product will be significantly improved by that stage, where it will help with respect to AI as well. So sometimes there are futuristic scenarios which you can diffuse in terms of there and there with respect to that as there. Discover, so sometimes you need to ask that right questions to get more details of what is it that is going on. So what is the objection all about? What is the reason for the objection? Where is it coming from? Is it external factors, internal factors, so on and so forth? So discover those and then basically try to diffuse them, address them. Deliver is respond to your objection, that is respond to the objection that is there. So basically it's where you try to address it, try to bring a resolution to it. So that's the final stage with respect to responding to the objection that is there. Now, diffuse objections, this is where certain processes or certain steps that you need to follow. Listen to the, and give a ear to the customer with respect to the objection. I try to identify what is the emotion behind it. Is it just for the sake of it? Is it just that trying to stall things? Is it where you actually feel that there is an objection? Use matching statements. So whatever statements that they have used, try to get some verbatim out of that and empathize, and then give your resolution that is there. So, and some techniques with respect to diffusing objections are: make eye contact, have a confident body posture, use gestures, but don't overuse it as well, don't underuse it as well. So, use the right gestures, have the right facial expression and the voice tone when you are presenting or trying to diffuse the objections as well. Don't be aggressive, be confident, but at the same time, have a soft tone that you maintain, uh, and diffuse the objection that is there. Discover, so this is, as said, ask the right questions, try to understand what is the objection that is there, clarify the objection. So clarify is where, make that clarification of whether you understood it correctly or not. Ask that right questions to clarify the objections, but ask open-ended questions. So if you ask open-ended questions, you will try to get more information, and you will get more information in that conversation that is there. And then once you have that, you then prepare to respond to that overall objection that is there. So this is more to do with respect to where, how do you carry about discovering the objections that are there and then responding to them. Deliver responses. So with respect to when you're coming to delivering the responses, even find the right team members to respond to responses, to respond to objections. So say if it's a technical objection, have a technical person respond to it. If it's like a hardcore high level financial discussion that is there, then have your finance team respond to it. If it's around taxation, or how a tax will be levied, or how a tax will be cut, so on and so forth, then have the right, so basically identify the right team members and have them respond to objections that are there. Use a proof of response that is there. So it's just where a verbal conversation is not going to help. You will have to have a proof to it. So with respect to where, say some documentation, some proof around whether how it's worked in the past, or how is it that a similar objection had been uh, carried out and achieved towards a solution that is there. So have that proof to it when you're responding to it. Respond to the objections with a feel. So, as said, have a soft tone, feel, show that empathy that is there. Make them feel that you felt this particular objection in the past, but you've had a workaround towards it, and you have a confident method of working around it and coming up with a solution that is there. And share a customer story that is there. So if you share a customer story or a use case story, it definitely builds in that confidence that is there in terms of overall with respect to the objection, and then you diffusing that objection as well. Have a scenario of handling common objections that are there. So, I mean, this can be specific objections, but be prepared for the common objections around, say, maybe data security. It's a cloud solution, so security is one aspect that definitely comes in across your conversations that are there. Costing that is there, pricing that is there, invoicing that is there, integrations that are there, effort around integration that is there, training that is there. How will the customer be trained? How will they learn about the platform, so on and so forth. So have these basic objections. You be prepared for that so that you can handle them well, address them well. So have these basic things in terms of objections ready, uh, notes around that, so that you can handle them well with respect to when you are meeting the particular customer or prospect that is there. Then coming to sales contract and negotiations that are there. So this is to do with respect to understanding what is the contract. Now, so we saw the overall proposal. Proposal is with respect to where you are proposing your solution, proposing the budget, so on and so forth. Once it goes to the final stage is where you come with respect to the contracting that is there. This is with respect to your agreements, your legal documents, your legal documentation, so on and so forth, which come in as contracts, and then you start working towards projects, so that the customer or customer also has any some things to go back in case if the contract is not met, in case if the solution is not met, the product license is not met, so on and so forth. So this is what is a overall sales contract, and this is where your final negotiations will also happen. What they include, basically all your agreements, order forms, say any change order forms that are there. Overall, with respect to a master level agreement, so the service agreement in terms of how the service also will be provided, what will be the TAT of responses, uh, how will the teams function, how will the communications function, so on and so forth. So that will include all of those. What happens in terms of there is a dispute, what happens in terms of, say, if the customer has some dispute that is there. So all of that will be comprising of your master service agreements that are there. What happens in terms of if you decide to disengage, say maybe 3 months, 6 months down the line, how does that mechanism? So all of those details will be there. How will the renewal work? How will the upsell agreements work? So all of those information comprises of the contracts that is there. And then you need to identify who all are the negotiation stakeholders that are there. So say for a certain pieces, you might have the legal team. In terms of financials, you may have the finance team or the purchase team or the procurement teams that are there. So you need to identify with respect to who all will be a part of the negotiations, and then negotiate with them with respect to the various aspects before the final contract is signed. So that's where negotiation also becomes an important step in terms of the sales contract SOWs, where you negotiate, get the resolutions done, and then finally sign the contract that is there. So yeah, this covers overall in detail with respect to steps around in terms of say your contracting, pricing strategies, objections, and in terms of how to overall go about your uh, in terms of steps with respect to sales processes and prospecting. So this covers more or less with respect to in detail around the, say, your deal management, how a deal will be managed, how a deal will be done, and how the closure will happen. Happy to take any questions. Yes, this plays a significant part, so therefore, I mean, the session was also longer, but happy to take any questions that are there. And in fact, if you all have questions during the next session as well, I'll be happy to take those. I mean, so if you all want time to cover this up and go through in detail, I'm happy to take up questions in the next session as well.
Thanks, Kunal, and thanks everyone for staying back for this session. Yeah, as now we know, it's a major chunk of the exam, and we wanted to cover everything in detail. And if you have any questions, post them in the chat. I think we covered the questions that were posted earlier, Kunal.
Sure.
So I don't see any more questions. I think we can call it a wrap. So everyone, the last session will be this Thursday. So we are going to cover the last three segments of the exam. And thank you very much, Kunal, and thanks everyone. And I'm going to stop the recording here.